Welcome to What's in the Box, episodes of horror with Donna and Eric. I'm Donna,
And I'm Eric.
and we are continuing our Texas AuthorCon author spotlights. And with us today, we have Candace Nola and Mike Ennenbach and Baphomet, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
How y'all doing?
Hello. I just like to say, fuck.
There we go.
All
Well, you
right.
can say it now that we got that out of the way.
Demonetized.
There you go. And that's fine.
That's
This is about you. This isn't about us.
We
So.
want people to know what you're really like.
Oh,
Well,
God.
there you go.
and now we can stop recording. We've got it
Yes,
what we
and
need.
podcast
and
over.
We
Yep.
will go.
So we have some fun little icebreaker questions. I'll start with Candace. Jason, Michael, or Freddy? Who's your favorite?
Oh, out of those three, huh?
Well, if you have a fourth, throw it out there. That's how we got ready on the list.
Leatherface.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's my original. Leatherface, and then Freddy, then Jason, then Michael. In that order. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. What about you, Mike?
Number one's definitely Dr. Decker from Nightbreed.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no question. God, that mask. Oh, so brilliant. Then it's probably a tie between Jason and Michael. I really like both of them, but they fell off at the end. But Jason gets a slight lead because Jason X was fucking phenomenal. And then Freddy's just one-liners. Like
Yeah,
the
Freddy's-
first movie was great.
Yeah,
And then
the
other
third.
than that,
Nah, first and third. Those two are great.
yeah, I guess. The third one's where they started to become comedies, and that's where it kind of lost me. The first one was just fucking scary.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first one's amazing. The first one haunted
The,
me.
the blood scene on the bed, I
Mhm.
was way too young for that. And I remember, I was like, no, that was badass.
Yeah, I watched it when my parents left to a party. And so we had the movie channel, whatever. I turned it on. I'm the only one home, 8 years old or something. Yeah, way too young to see that. When the chief and then the blood comes out, and you're like, oh my God, all the
Yeah.
lights are on in the house.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, but going to Candace's, Leatherface has never impressed me except for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
And that's only because it's funny, it's campy, and it's like Evil Dead-ish, and that's why I got into it. I remember when I was a kid, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was considered one of those banned movies.
hmm
So they were always like, "Oh, you can't watch this." By the time we watched it, we'd seen so much worse. But I don't know. It hit
I
us
love
all
Texas
in.
Chainsaw Massacre, the original. I'm with
I think
Candace
it's
there.
great,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
it's great for what it did progressing horror.
Mhm.
But on its own, it's a bit
Yeah.
hollow.
Well,
People
yeah.
have taken what it laid the foundation for and made it brilliant.
Well, I also think, well, you say that, but the guy that did the first one's the guy that did the second one. So, I mean, he
Oh.
took it and
Mhm.
totally went the other direction. So
Yeah.
he kind of showed, hey, look at me. I can do more than just, guy out here with the chainsaw. And in fact, he got in trouble because the studio wanted the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he gave them what he gave them with 2, which is funny and outside the box thinking
Oh,
and really gross and just edge of the seat kind of scares. And they
who's
were
the
upset
guy
with that.
from the Rob Zombie movies?
Yeah, House of a Thousand Corpses. Yeah.
Mhm.
Who's
He's
the
the
guy
guy.
that was in Chainsaw? It's the same actor.
Yeah, it's the same guy. I don't know his name though.
Yeah, it sucks because he's one of those actors that's just brilliant, and every time
he's in the
you
Blob
he's
too. He's
what?
one of the soldiers in the Blob.
Shut up.
Yeah, and then when they're in the drain and the Blob comes to get the soldiers and they start to run out and they're trying to get out, and then right before they get out, they get sucked into the Blob.
The
He's one of those
colorized
soldiers
version
too.
you're talking about.
Yeah,
the
the one
remake.
yeah, he's in
I
there
don't think
too.
I've ever seen that. I love the black and white ones so much.
I
Oh,
do
God.
too. I like that too, but
So that was one question. Go ahead,
Yes.
Donna. 2.
So, all right. Okay, Mike, vampires or werewolves?
It's actually pretty simple. I like werewolves a lot. Like a lot. And vampires are just lame. They're not sexy. They're parasites. That's gross. Trying to make that erotic? I mean, ooh, slugs. That's so hot. Put it on me. No, disgusting.
Ew.
All right.
So
It's funny because that's the exact opposite of what we heard like a
yeah,
day ago. So
yeah. So do you prefer your werewolves wolf-like or man-like? Like
I
wolf
think they should
man?
have three forms. I think they should be able to be man, they should be able to be wolf, and they should have that form that's somewhere between.
yeah, so kind of like the bishop.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you guys do in bishop too.
that's
And bishop.
weird.
And Candace did in
Huh.
bishop.
How strange is
Yeah.
that would be my favorite kind?
Yeah, I know, right?
How funny.
Imagine that.
How about you,
Imagine what I did
Candace?
there. I mean, obviously, werewolves.
Okay, I was like, oh, I mean, I don't know where we're going.
Yeah,
When you said obviously, I
obviously.
thought we're about to slam Mike or something, which we're all for,
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
but we can't really get into that. Yeah, no, and I agree too. I think werewolves are the best.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It gets to the point where you can give me the worst werewolf movie on the planet, and I will sit down and watch it and give it a shot. But it can be the best vampire movie. You're gonna have to convince me to sit down and watch it. I'm just
Yeah.
tired of the
I like them
Well,
both,
no.
but when it
I
comes
will.
to something, if I had to pick one over the other, it's going to be the werewolf one first. Novel,
That
story, movie, show. It's going to be the
Mhm.
werewolf
werewolf.
movies kind of blow. They're very, very underrepresented for good ones.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
many of them are just trash that maybe the transformation's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
none of them have captured what Lon Chaney Jr. did. None of them. None of them have managed to get that. They tried. That Benicio del Toro tried, but I don't know. I think they fall flat. But I mean, Bela Lugosi, and then all of the Hammer films.
Yeah,
Like,
if you're
I'm
talking about
sorry, but
old
for great
school
movies,
vampire,
vampires rule.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
no. If you're
old
talking
school.
classic, yeah, of course,
Yeah.
we're talking. I'm saying if you got a new movie and you're saying, "Hey, I've got you this new vampire movie," or here's this new werewolf movie, I will sit down and watch the werewolf movie.
I don't know if it's a
Yeah.
hot take, but John Carpenter's Vampires is trash.
It is the worst movie ever made.
But it's
What
got
the
John
fuck?
Bon Jovi in it, right?
Does it?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it does.
It's terrible. It's got I don't know. I watched it recently thinking it was going to be great, and I thought, oh well,
Right?
this is why I don't watch vampire movies because it sucks.
Like,
So
if they had to put John Carpenter's on the title, just fucking skip it. Like,
yeah,
I didn't
well,
need that for the thing. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
where are we next?
Uh,
well, what is your favorite werewolf movie? I mean, I guess you're saying your favorite werewolf movie is Universal's
Oh,
Wolfman.
there's no better horror films in existence than the Universal movies.
Yeah, I
They
can
do
give you that.
absolutely everything that a movie needs to do, and it's horror.
Yeah. I won't argue with that. I mean, I love the fact that they tried to do it again, but you're right, they failed with the remake. But I don't think they failed because of anything other than trying to make Anthony Hopkins a werewolf at the end. I think that's where they got off the rails. I love the way it looked. I loved his transformation. I thought they did everything well, but then at the end it just kind of got convoluted. So, I mean, I get why they did it, but you're right. I mean, if you go back to the original, it's so much cleaner when it's just the gypsy and it's the curse and you get the werewolf, and then
Yeah.
that's the sad part. We don't need your dad beating you up too to nail anything home. So
Right? No, exactly. And to tie into Bishop too, the best of the Universal movies is Frankenstein.
now, what was your favorite movie?
Yeah.
Either one of you can answer. What was your favorite movie, scary movie as a kid?
The thing.
The Thing.
Yeah. Well, it was that. And then from there, well, that was probably my introduction to scary movies, was the thing. And then from there, went into like Texas Chainsaw. And then I started watching a lot of those, the scary movies that are so awful, they're hilarious.
B movies?
Mhm.
The B
Yeah.
movies.
Yes.
Me and my dad, the B movies. So with that being said, Basket Case is my
Yeah.
number one
Belial.
basket
I love
case.
Belial.
Just oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wearing a Toxic Avenger shirt,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
like
yeah.
that was oh god, B movies are the best. I think if you're gonna go scary while it's not scary, I loved Phantasm when I was a kid.
Yeah.
The
Oh my
silver
God,
ball, the
yeah.
tall
The
man.
guy,
Mhm.
Yeah.
man, I had nightmares about him
And you know what
He was
forever.
so underrated, and they
Yeah.
did so many of them, and they still managed. Yeah, they fell off at the end, but the first three probably are pretty
Yeah,
quality. And for
yeah,
horror movies, that's a good run.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And I
Yeah,
want to
it's
throw this out right now because when I was talking to Carpool, he's a fantasy writer and he does some zombie stuff. He doesn't focus on horror, so he didn't answer the question because I blew by it thinking he wouldn't answer the question or didn't want to answer the question. And then when we finished recording, he said, "Oh, I want to answer one of your questions you didn't that I didn't get to." And that was the movie he picked, was Phantasm. He said Phantasm was this amazing movie, and
The ambiance of it was just, it never really made sense.
Mhm.
And it didn't have to, because that ball was badass when it ching. Oh man.
Yeah, just think
Oh,
about that. I mean, we're talking before CGI. They've got almost the perfect special effect with that
oh
ball.
my
Between
God,
that and
right?
the thing, you really got a taste of special effects that
Practical
we,
effect.
yeah,
yeah.
that we miss. We miss the movies
Yes.
now, and that's part of the reason why some of the werewolf movies and the vampire movies aren't hitting, is because they don't embrace the practical effects, and I think that's
Underworld.
why.
Underworld is the most beautiful yet sterile series
Yeah,
I've ever seen. I don't like it. There's nothing to it except for pretty people in leather and slow motion.
yeah,
And that gets old 20 minutes in, but damn, they tried.
yeah. But I think that's why Don and I are always pumping up Dog Soldiers, because they did a
Yeah.
lot of practical, and that movie
Yes.
stands out because of it.
There was
Yeah.
a foreign film that was super good. Brotherhood of the Wolf, I think it
Yeah,
was.
that's a fun movie too.
That I thought that might be, out of werewolf, that modern day, that might be the best one I've seen.
Yeah, because it's got a little bit of kung fu in it and all that good stuff. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm
got
a
a good
sucker.
mix. Yeah,
Kung fu fighting.
yeah, and it's set in like the 1700s in France. If you haven't seen it,
Yeah.
you should definitely watch
I
Brotherhood of
have
the Wolf.
not seen it.
It is a fun movie, and
Yes, it
if you're
is.
okay, I mean, watch it if you're gonna watch it, you probably should watch it in the original. It's in French, and then read it. But I thought the dub was fun. So if you're into that, it's a decent dub. So. Sometimes I like to watch a cheesy foreign movie with, the overdub of terrible American actors talking. So you can get a good time with that too. So
I grew up on kung fu, like the Shaw Brother films, except the ones where the audio didn't sync.
no, those are the
Like
best.
those were great. You
Yeah,
never knew what was going on. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up watching Bruce Lee movies.
yeah, those are
Mhm.
awesome. Those are
greatest.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Candace, did you? Oh, we haven't done adults yet, have we? So we need to do.
Nope.
What's your favorite movie now?
Same,
Okay.
same,
Same.
same.
Oof, if we're gonna go horror, if we're staying serious horror, I think Event Horizon is the greatest horror film ever made.
Yep.
It's I didn't even notice.
And he's next to it's the thing.
I
So,
mean, oh God, just Event Horizon is just so brilliant.
yeah,
And they
and
don't
what?
really give you anything, and that's what I like.
Yeah,
It is just horrifying for the sake of it. Space horror is just not done enough.
yeah, it's not done
Pandorum was
well.
decent. Like I find I love it. Sunshine was fantastic.
Yeah, I like that movie. But
Cillian Murphy.
I didn't really think of it as horror. I mean, I know it has horror elements, but it's not like Event Horizon, I don't think, in the same level of continual horror. But yeah, it has that at the end. It does. It kind of takes that left turn.
I guess it's the Werner Herzog feeling of hopelessness of what
Yeah.
that mission is. Just
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I love
it
that
does have
thing.
that sense of oppression that's hanging over the crew, and you kind of feel
Constantly.
into it, but it takes a left turn and becomes like almost a horror movie with the
Oh
character.
yeah, no, it goes
And
psychotic, but
yeah,
that's like Audition. Audition would be my second favorite horror film of all time now.
mhm.
If you have you guys seen that?
I
I
have
have
not. I've
not.
avoided it on purpose.
I'll tell you
On
right now,
purpose.
it's a 2.5 hour movie, and it is a beautiful love story. And it just is. It's gorgeous. Like it you could see this being just a romantic love movie. And I use the term a lot. The bag flips. And when that bag flips, everything changes.
Yeah,
And where it goes and the visceralness of how Takashi Miike, or however you say his last name, how he films that gore. Wow.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, I'll support it, but not gonna watch it.
Oh, I wish you would. I really wish
Yeah,
you
you know
would.
what? I
I'll
probably will
watch it
break
with
down
you.
at some point. Yeah, you can hold my hand, get me through it.
Oh, we should next year for AuthorCon, we should have movie night.
Yeah, I wonder if we have to get permits for that though. So something we'll have to talk about.
I don't know because they had a film festival at this
Okay.
year
Yeah.
in one
I
of the
wasn't sure if
rooms.
there's something you needed to do or not. I mean, maybe you
I
just have
don't
to get
think
the
so.
rights from the people
Probably.
or not
Yeah,
charge for it. Maybe that's it. Maybe you don't
I
charge
think
for
as
it.
long
You
as
just
you're not
go in.
charging, it's okay. Because people do that where they'll do the downtown movies and they just shine it on a building.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we can look into that. I'll run it by Merrill. And that way I'll know for a fact for 2.5 hours, I will have something else to do than watch that movie.
Oh, do not be a sissy. Oh, the bag flip. Donna, have you seen it?
No,
Will you watch it?
I will watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch it with you. Whatever.
Oh
We'll
my
watch
God,
it.
you guys need to do an episode.
Yeah,
Here
okay.
you go.
Maybe you know what? Maybe we'll watch it and then we'll have you on and then we will rip you for 2.5 hours and tell you how terrible it was.
I will tell you right now, I will guarantee if after we love Audition, we're watching Happiness of the Katakuras second for the next podcast we do. And I guarantee you love it and Katakuras is better.
You know what? You're probably right. I probably will love the movie
You're
too. It's
gonna
just one of those
love
things
it.
that didn't hit at the time and I just never watched it. So
Oh, I went and saw it at the theater, and I went to work the next day. It was at like the Angelica, so it was, they played all those good indie films.
that's our
I went
artsy house theater
exactly
here.
art
So
house
you know
film.
Donna and Candace.
Yeah, so I went there, and the next day I went back to work, and I was raving about Audition, raving about it. Like, and my buddy, the day it came out on DVD, he bought it. The day later, he handed it to me. He said, "I never want to see that again," and I was like, "Right."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's kind of the vibe I was getting from it. So I'm like, I think I'll just go ahead and not worry about this movie. So I know a lot of people love it.
I don't
So
think it's as bad in this day and age.
it may not
When
be.
it came out, it was so shocking,
Yeah.
but now, no, it really honestly isn't. It's just the turn it takes is brilliant.
Yeah.
I get that.
So, what's your go-to recommendation for new readers of horror? And don't be like Roland Bursey Jr. and say, "Here's some Wrath James White."
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like, you know what? We'll just throw him in the deep end and see what
Yeah.
happens.
That may
But-
not be an entry level read.
Right.
So you mean someone who's brand new and we want to
Yeah.
like ease
Somebody's like,
them
hey,
in?
I'm thinking about
Yeah.
reading a horror novel. Or, and I think what this ends up being, and it never comes across in the question, is, what's like one of your favorite novels that you would hand to somebody? Say, hey, you should read this. It's a horror book. I think you'll like it. And this will get you going on your journey.
One of my own or someone else's?
Either.
You can do your own if you want. Most people do. So far, it's been almost all traditional mainstream stuff. So it'd be interesting to hear something else, I guess.
Well, let me see. For my own, I would hand somebody new to the scene Breach because it's not massively gory or bloody or anything. I mean, there's some moments that I think will give them just enough, but it's not enough that they're gonna put the book down and be like, yeah, I'm done.
Right. Yeah.
So that would be my first one of my own. For someone new who wants to start out mainstream, I would have to go with Stephen King, but I would go with the short stories. First, none
Night
of the
Shift.
1,000-page.
Give them
Yeah.
Night Shift and say, check this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely start there because the man is a mainstay. I mean, he's where I got my start for the most part. But if you really want a nice like range, I would start there with one of his short stories and be like, here you go.
Yeah, I find any time that he was coked out of his head, most of those are pretty good. So those
Yeah,
are the
you
ones
know-
I still remember. I enjoyed.
When I see posts in books of horror for people, oh, I'm newer to reading horror, what do you recommend? Breach is always one of the, because you've seen my
Yeah.
recommendations. I always give
Mm.
like a huge list, and when somebody asks like that, Breach is always one of the first off the top of my head that I think of, because it's horror, but it's not like Aaron Beauregard horror or Pope Flick Massacre horror.
Yeah, it's not, but it gives you enough and it will make you kind of say, like, what the hell is going on? And I think it gives you that little escape away from wherever it is that you are, and it puts you in this whole other world where you're kind of like, what would I do in that situation?
I would cry.
What about you, Mike? What's a book you, and it doesn't have, I mean, whatever you feel, whatever you feel fits the definition of horror. It doesn't have to be traditional.
I mean, if we're gonna go modern, I would say I would tell everybody to read The Fisherman.
Mhm.
That, oh my God, that book that thing was amazing. I was very shocked at, and I will shout out Brad Tierney because he is the one who sent it to me. And oh my God, I was just, Lord, have you guys read it?
I
No,
have not.
but you and I talked about this at
Okay.
Scares, and so it's
Oh,
on my
that's right.
list. So so it's I wasn't surprised to hear you say that one. So
Yeah.
And then, of course, my all-time favorite is Kafka.
Mhm.
Kafka. I don't care how you say it. Uh, I mean, Metamorphosis is what everybody knows, but he can write a normal scene, and it's just slightly off enough that it's off-putting, and nothing happens. It's in mediations. They'll be like little 3-page stories. They're nonsensical, but they're just off-putting. Just like observations of people, and they're just, I don't know.
yeah,
If
it's
you
like,
can make me into something that is not exciting, that's magic. That's art.
yeah, for sure.
That's it, probably. I mean, a million other things.
Right. There's, I mean, you could just keep handing stuff out.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Different choices.
Like, oh
But
God, yeah.
we're just looking for the one, and I think Kafka's an interesting choice to go and hand somebody, because I mean it's more than horror. I mean it's multiple levels of different things that you're going to be opening doors when you read that. So, and that's really cool, I think. So, it's an outside the box answer that really hits all the right notes.
Mhm.
There you
Yeah.
go.
It monetized the shit out of the video still.
That's right. Back on. We're back on the rails.
Yay. All right. So, Mike, what genre do you like to write in, or you typically write in, for people who may not know of your works?
I don't know. I would automatically say poetry, but then they're completely going to disconnect and not care about what I say afterwards. Uh,
And and I want to point out right now, this is a perfect example of the event and how eclectic it is. This isn't just a horror event. There are
right,
people there
absolutely.
that do a lot of different things, and Mike is one of them. In fact, last year that was I thought was a big plus that we weren't all horror people, because Mike had a lot of stuff there that isn't specifically horror, but he does a really good job when he does write horror. So it's you're gonna find something at the event. There's so many of us,
Absolutely.
and we don't all do the
Fantasy,
one thing.
horror, there's romance. I mean, oh yeah.
There's going to be
Westerns, sci-fi.
military sci-fi. There's going to be alternate
Western.
history stuff. We've got a Western person. There's just there's going to be something for everyone. So, but let's get back to, you write poetry.
I guess somebody somebody had said that it was subversive and transgressive. And
Mhm.
I think speculative would be best, because you just don't know what you're going to get when you grab into my stories. I don't know what I'm going to give you.
Yeah.
It's definitely not horror. I write horror a lot, but
Well,
it's
I was going to say, how I say it is that no matter what I write, I'm writing horror. And I
right.
feel like whatever you have a way of twisting, you know what? I'll tell you what you're writing. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not 100%, but it's a Kafka-esque experience. If you're going to read Mike, you're not going to get what you think you're going to get. He's going to twist it just enough to make you unsettled, make you think about whatever you're reading. So, I mean, it's an experience. You're going to sit down and have a good time if you're reading Mike. And at the end,
Yeah.
maybe you will be horrified. I don't know, but I know there's a lot of stuff there that is horrific in your stories. But there's some stuff there. There's some depth. There is some. There's a reason to read. I'm always you have to have Mike Ennenbach in your library.
Oh God, Candace, can you answer now?
Everyone stare at
About
Mike now.
what?
Stare at Mike. Stare at Mike.
So Mike's collection, Dream Whispers, is a great example of what Mike does. It has everything from the absurd to the deeply disturbed to unsettling and transgressive and bizarre, and if you
Disturbed.
really want his range, it's a great one for everything that he does. There's an epic poem in Dream Whispers too, is there not, Mike?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Eros.
Yeah. It's got everything in it, no matter what you like, what you want. It has it.
You were supposed to talk about yourself. That's
I
fine.
know. Now
I'm
let's
still
shift the
talking about
gears
you
because
because
Mike's
there's nothing
getting.
that you can't do. In the time that I've known you, there's literally nothing that you cannot write about, and it's just absolutely amazing. So we're gonna talk about Mike.
We suckered him into this. He wasn't expecting this.
Oh my
He's like,
God,
you
I
trapped
know.
me.
That's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. We're not looking at you anymore.
Okay.
I had
I
no
mean, we
part
can
of
talk
this,
about me
Mike.
if you want.
Candace.
I am. I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
Candace is the same though. I mean, I can say almost the exact same thing I said for Mike because she does a lot of this stuff. Now, I don't think of you first as a poet, but I know you do poetry and you have a lot of it on your Patreon. And I've seen you post it on Facebook and stuff. And I know you more for your prose, but you're just as talented. And you do just as much stuff outside the box, preaches outside the box. And
Yeah.
that's your entry. And then you go and you do Evis Bishop and Hank Flynn. I mean, there's some wonderful characters. And I
Frank
think
the
that's what
Unicorn Killer.
Yeah.
Unicorn Killer.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there. And
right?
your collections, your stories and your collections are wonderful too. So, and this really isn't just a fest of us loving on Mike and Candace, but yeah, I mean, it's well deserved, I think. So,
Yeah.
I will say in all honesty that I have known Candace since what was Beyond Breach came out.
Mhm.
I think that was the book that came out when we were actually friends.
Yeah.
So I've read literally every word she has written since that moment. And I read Breach later, but I don't count that really because that doesn't apply. And every single thing that she has done, the growth and improvement between is frankly astounding. And that's what people need to see is every one of them is good and they just keep getting better. And that's ridiculous. You kind of hate her for it.
So what do you guys listen to when you're writing? Do you listen to anything while you're writing?
I do not unless it is a really intense like fight scene or very violent. Then I'll put something on to kind of put me in that headspace, usually like heavy metal,
I was
death
gonna say,
metal.
I need to know what the music is that's
Yeah.
putting us in a violent headspace here.
Yeah, I was thinking that
Metallica,
too.
Eminem, DMX, Ramstein, like anything like very violent, very heavy pounding sort of. When I finish, I have a headache, sort of just.
Yeah, I like to put a little MOD or SOD on if I need something really loud. So
Yeah.
I thought I'd throw that out.
Stormtroopers of Death or Method of Destruction. Both
That's
Billy
right.
Milano acts. The MOD put out a bunch of stuff. SOD put out two, but you can only really count one. They were the first crossover band, which is crossing over hardcore and thrash. Anyway.
Yep. And if
I don't
you're
listen to them
if
when I
you're a
write.
child of the 80s, then you
Yes, you
probably
know
got
them.
somebody handed you a tape and said you got to hear this.
If you were
Yeah.
a child of the 80s and you watched Headbangers Ball, you knew
Yeah.
Stormtroopers of Death because that was the theme song for years.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I miss that. I miss Yo MTV Raps. I miss the fact that
Oh,
MTV
yeah.
would do wonderful blocks of musical just genius videos, and now you can't find anything. Like you just go to YouTube, I guess, and do it, but it's not
I'm
the
a
same.
Fab Five Freddy guy over Dre and Ed Lover. I just kind of thought they were too much of clowns.
Yeah, they were a little too,
Yeah.
but I don't think we
You-
can get too much off the rails here. So let's switch back to Mike. What do you listen to when you write, or do you?
Everything.
Yeah.
My main things I always go back to if I need to really get into it is Run the Jewels, especially the second and fourth albums. The third one and first are fantastic. Anything by the band Get Dead, especially their latest album. And then there's a guy, his name's Ryo Fukue. He's a Japanese jazz pianist. He put out Mellow Dream, and it's just, ugh. I'll drive with the windows down going like 100 with Ryo just blaring. It's just transcendent.
Nice.
That's mostly it.
So tell us, you guys can pick who goes first. Tell us about your newest project. I know you guys had something that just came out with the both of you. So if you want to talk about that, you certainly can.
things.
Well, which one? Because there's one with me and Eric and Mike, and there's one with me and
Oh yeah,
Mike.
that's right. I forgot about Generator.
There we go. Yeah.
So we have the generator out there, and we have part two, the werebear. Mike, you want to start with that one?
Which one?
I
Bishop.
don't care. Yeah,
Oh,
Bishop.
I mean, all
And
I'll
how
say about
you
the
got
generator
involved.
is Albert is in it, and Albert is my favorite character I've ever written. So that's very important. But on
Yes.
Bishop too, oh, that's wonderful. When Candace, it was 3 days before Bishop came out. She sent it to me to read, and it just blew my mind. Not the first couple pages. I told her she had to go back and fix that. She did, and then the whole thing blew my mind. And like 2 days later, I sent her a message, and I was like, "What if Carl Beck and Bishop had a book together?" And it was just kind of one of those random manic thoughts that I have. And then she held me to it. Like 6 months later, she was like, "Don't forget we're doing Bishop too." And I was like, "Oh shit, you're gonna have accountability on this." And here we go.
Well, I got to tell you, so far it works. I'm about, I don't know, 2/3 of the way through. I'm almost done, but I wasn't able to finish it before we got to the discussion. But so far, I mean, you guys stuck the landing. It's really good so far. So as long as you don't screw up the ending, I'll be pretty happy. So.
Come on
Oh,
now.
hopefully you'll be a little bit pissed off at the ending, but that's fine.
Well,
Oops.
yeah, you're supposed to be, but
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no,
love
I
when
think
a-
it's really good. And I think the characters work really well together. And I like the way that you kind of weaved it together. It's really smart and it's really well done. And it's a fun story so far. I mean, I've really enjoyed reading it. I mean, I could have finished it, but I would have started speed reading, which means I would have skipped. And I didn't want to do that
Right.
because I've really enjoyed every word. So, whatever. It's a good book. Everybody should read it. Everybody should read the first two, get in the mind space, and then head out there and check those out because I think they're really good. So.
yeah.
So besides going to Texas AuthorCon and loitering at your table and harassing you for an autograph, where can people find your books?
Anywhere books are sold. No.
Dang.
Currently, you can find my stuff on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and the Godless distribution platform, as well as on my website. And I can find some of Mike's stuff on my website.
Nice.
You can find some of their books at my house.
You can
Is that
find some of them in Eric's.
No, they're in the box
wherever
waiting
Eric
for
is.
Texas AuthorCon. I drove them back from
Yes.
Scares.
Oh, that's
So
right.
Yes, you did.
I've got a couple boxes right next to me. In fact, I was trying to see if I could reach over and grab Dream Whisperers, but unfortunately it's buried. So,
Yeah,
sorry.
it's in there.
But I do have some here. So I do know that we'll have them at Texas AuthorCon. And I guess we
You
could broker
sure?
a deal if anybody wants to come talk to me directly. I've got some stuff here. So.
Yeah, go get it. Go get it.
Just have one go see Eric, go pick them
Yeah,
up.
There you go.
There you
Knock
go.
on my door.
Whatever.
So we can get Mike's books on Amazon as well. Are they
Yeah.
on Barnes and Noble or?
I don't know.
They might be.
Maybe.
There's that distribution program now, and I have stuff popping up on Barnes and Noble that I haven't put on Barnes and
Yeah.
Noble. So
I
there's a
mean, you go
chance
to
it is.
Amazon for everything. Potter's Grove Press
Yeah.
has a website, so you can get the poetry directly from there. River gets more money that way, so that's pretty cool. I don't know. That's it, probably. Probably some other places. I don't.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we'll have in the description, we'll have links to your Amazon pages and your Potter's Grove Press and Uncomfortably Dark. That way people can.
Patreon pages, everything that you guys,
Yep.
so people can hunt you down and bother you with
Okay.
questions.
Yeah, definitely. So
Sounds
yeah,
fantastic.
thank you guys so much for doing this, and looking forward to seeing you in a couple months.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
bye.